Hello. Who else is on with me? So I decided to go live again. Originally, I was going to upload this version of this week, but I am sharing this on a delayed schedule. So um, originally, this would have been on here a couple days ago, but things happen. Things get delayed and postponed and whatnot because of, well, life. But here we are now. So, what's happening and what's going on? This is Golden Dark Dame coming on this week to recap Versus, talking about for the last time Ready to Love Season 3 and the reunion, finishing up talking about some new flicks that are out, possibly a little bit of music to go along with that. So, I have to begin with recognizing and saying farewell on the passing of a well known veteran actress and performing arts pioneer, the beloved Miss Cicely Tyson. She was able to uh, have seen her 96th birthday just last month in December. And she maintained a fulfilling life, having had an extensive acting career. In the early 80s, Tyson she had a 7-year marriage to the iconic musician Miles Davis. And even prior to her marriage, she had an approximate 9-year relationship with the very highly acclaimed sex symbol actor Billy D. Williams. Those of younger generations should be able to recognize Cicely Tyson from roles in some Tyler Perry productions starting back from around the year 2000 or else 2002, 2004. She has been in, like I said, a handful of his productions, about 7 Tyler Perry productions, to include Medea's Family Reunion and Why Did I Get Married Too, starring alongside Louis Gossett Jr., plus countless other roles to her credit. The familiar face and voice of this elder will be missed. So, um, flowers to her. It was sad to see the news that she passed just a couple days ago. So now discussing what else has occurred last week into this week. The latest music versus battle, which was Ashanti between Ashanti and Keyshia Cole. It finally went off, but just barely. Um, the question remains, why was Keyshia Cole so late? Both artists were late. Ashanti was just a little bit late coming onto her set, but she still arrived several minutes prior to Keyshia Cole getting to her set. Now remember, this is not the first time that a versus battle was coordinated between separate locations, but it was the first that this has been done this way since shortly after versus beginning due to COVID and quarantine measures. And it's not the first nor only time that a battle started behind schedule, but this was the most significant lateness that viewers have seen of it. I mean, it was a lot of time in between this battle actually beginning. So based on the lateness and subsequent behavior by Keyshia Cole, it clearly seemed to me once she got on set that she was affected by something. I don't want to speculate too deeply on what was going on with her, but it was like she had some internal preoccupation and she was clearly uncomfortable in some capacity. This battle lasted for an extensive period of time, because of the fact that it started on behind schedule. And at the conclusion, Keyshia Cole made the statement. She said, quote, it took so much for her to get there, end quote. And she would explain another time what happened. But partway through, when they were about to take a break and then switch whose turn it was to start a round, Keyshia Cole didn't stop at the proper point. She played an additional track instead of ending at 10 songs after the same count of Ashanti records. And once they returned from the break, for some reason, Cole attempted to be demanding, controlling, or whatever you want to call it, and started again. But Ashanti politely reminded her that she was to start the second half, and KC gave an argumentative stance. Ashanti made one more comment to indicate that it was her turn to start, and then a track of hers began playing. So, yeah, it was something was happening with Keyshia Cole that night. But anyway, the undeniable greatness that did come about from this battle was that number one, they broke a viewer's record on Instagram alone. And it was over 1.1 million viewers, not even halfway into the battle once it started. And both artists were present. An overall total beyond 8 million was the accumulation of viewers. It was closer to 8 million or more. Number two, the other great thing, both Cole and Ashanti featured some new tracks. So the new Ashanti song is called 235. I Want You. 235 in reference to, clock time, is on point. Okay. If you didn't watch the battle and you didn't get to hear her play that track before Keyshia got there, you missed it. But that song is on point. So congratulations out to both artists gaining renewed and additional visibility, especially for Keyshia, because it was looking like she was not going to show up at all. By the way, I haven't seen any info of her explaining what held her up and made her late yet. And granted, regardless of whatever her issue was that caused her to be late, she was stunting on Instagram. I know she posted at least one video after the first postponement of their battle. So, obviously, she wanted to get people hyped up in anticipation that she would, potentially win the battle. And then this is what happened. Okay. And I know that she did post another, since the battle has concluded, she has posted, I think it's an approximate length of an 11-minute video on her Instagram speaking with somebody, and that's supposed to contain her explanation. But I know I skipped past maybe the first 2 minutes of it. So unless she explained why she was late within those first 2 minutes of that video, or at some point after the 6-minute mark, then she still didn't explain what happened, because I didn't watch the entire interview. And so the part that I did watch, I didn't see her explain what happened. I did not hear that come out of her mouth. I heard her talking about, oh, everybody knows that I wear my heart on my sleeve. Da, 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 da. And I didn't listen to it much longer after that. So I didn't hear her explanation, if she actually provided one. I missed it. But yeah, she was super duper late. Picture me shrug my shoulders as far as the reason why. Anyhow, so let me know who do you, at whatever point that you do watch this or listen to this, who do you feel won that battle? I tell you all again, I am an Ashanti fan all day. All day. Okay? So my favorite versus battles so far include John Legend and A Keys. That was the piano battle, that's what I call it. Ludacris and Nelly, Brandy and Monica, the Snoop and DMX battle, and also more recently the battle between Too Short and E40. That battle was cranking, and I didn't think I would end up becoming as excited as I did, but that battle was lit. So the suggested versus battles that I think Swiss Beats and Timbaland should seek to put together, and I haven't written this previously. I know that they've posted that question a few times, and I don't think I've ever commented, but I am now with my suggested battles would be between Usher, and y'all might laugh at this, but Usher versus Bobby Valentino, Bobby V. I think that would be a good one. And for those of y'all who may, not be totally hip to Bobby V, you're sleeping. You're sleeping. But other battles I would suggest are Maya versus Carrie Hilson. Definitely need to line up some more female battles. Mint Condition versus the Three T's, which that's also known as Tony. Jodeci versus Boys to Men. Joe, and again, y'all might not think this is equally yoked. Joe versus Maxwell. Okay. Donnell Jones versus John B. I think that Silk versus Drew Hill would be a phenomenal battle, especially since Keith Sweat has produced for both of those groups. So that would be hot. And one more suggestion is Raheem Devon versus, I don't know for sure, like maybe somebody like Kenny Lattimore. I'll throw that out there. But Raheem Devon should definitely be part of the versus battle for sure, because he has so many songs personally that I dig. So he should be on there with no question. Now, also in regards to verses is that they have added a new component, which is called Versus Sports. So Timbaland and Swizz Beatz rolled out this NFL Pro Bowl version this week, which features sports commentators as the hosts with NFL players reviewing and comparing their game highlights against each other's. I just found out a couple of days ago what Versus Sports was. I had already been wondering for a couple of weeks since the first time I saw it mentioned by Versus on the Facebook or the Instagram profile of theirs, and I could not figure out what it could have possibly been regarding. I really could not guess. But now I know, and everyone can see. So anybody who's wondering about that should go to the Versus Instagram handle and check out this feature. The complete, and just one more thing about that. I think they might have done it twice this week. So I checked it out. I don't know which one I was looking at, if it was the introductory, episode or what have you, but there were a total of 6 people on. So to include Deion Sanders as one of the commentators, and somebody else as a commentator. And then they had, I think they had like 4 different players on. So, that was quite a few people to be on at once. And, even though I'm not into football personally, I usually do make it a point to tune in and check out the Super Bowl every year. But like I said, I just wanted to, check it out and see what it was about. And I think for the remainder of Versus Sports, they're probably just going to have 2 players, which would be good because with them having had 4 players on, they got to the point of talking over each other a little bit too much. So um, that whole setting, it got old kind of quickly. And even just watching how it was, to me, it was boring. It was not eventful. But again, I'm not into football, so for those who are, it might actually be entertaining for you. But that's that. That's how Versus Sports goes. So to complete, now the complete conclusion of Ready to Love Season 3 has come with the second part of the reunion special. Finally, that aired last Friday. And although it did not continue examining Denise for the lie that she told about Joy having a parting message with her departure, like I was expecting or kind of, anticipating, it did feature some surprises, for some other participants. So I'll scale back, summarizing reunion parts 1 and combined with reviewing part 2, because there's a few things I missed mentioning from part 1. Now, if you have watched my previous videos, as you should, in order to be in proper chronological sequence, you should definitely be liking them, if for no other reason than the accuracy of my predictions. Okay, I continue to predict with a good amount of accuracy, okay, versus missing. I'm hitting. I told you guys I didn't have any specific expectations on the outcome, aside from seeing who would be coupled up unofficially. So that's the majority of the updates that were shown. All right, with a total of not 1, not 2, but 3 unwed pregnancies for 3 different cast members. It was already highly obvious that there were enough out of the 20 participants who took up space and opportunity from others who could have been cast to be on this show for Seeking Love. Not a hopeful exit strategy, not make my current boo thing publicly jealous situation, nor for a rebound. Okay, it was messy. It was sloppy for those folks who, had announcements that either they were pregnant on the show, which was the case with one chick, and then it was 2 guys that one possibly has a baby on the way. And I'm going to go ahead and guess that, yeah, more than likely he does versus not, because when he was confronted with that question, he danced around just providing a yes or no answer. So that's pretty iffy. That's definitely not anything commendable. Do you know you have a baby on the way? You know what I'm saying? Answer that question, since you can't give a simple answer to, do you have a baby on the way? Let's ask, do you know? Okay, maybe that would have been a simpler question for him to have given a yes or no to. And then on this part 2, one of the folks who got eliminated on day 1, I think his name was Sam, and he was also one of the younger people, one of the younger participants, daters rather, on the show. He got voted off on day 1, and so he divulged that he had, when asked how he felt about it or if he was surprised to have gotten eliminated so early, he said no, that he wasn't. He shouldn't have been, because the manner in which they showed him, he was like pretty quiet. He was not engaging with the majority of other people there, as it appeared everybody else was. Like, he was like off to the side for a good while, it appeared. So to me, that rant is intentional, because if somebody is naturally like that, why would you sign up to be on a dating show? Okay. So that to me was very clearly, intentional, strategic by him as far as maintaining his distance from people. So yeah, he should not. There's no way he reasonably would have been surprised he got voted off the show early. He didn't engage with hardly anybody. Okay. But anyhow, and then kind of his explanation to, not being surprised or getting voted off early was ultimately him again divulging that, he found out that he had a baby on the way. So it's just, it's interesting. It's honestly not that interesting. But I guess more so the manner in which this information has come out about the folks who it's applicable to has been in regards to the question, leads to the question, how did they even get on? How did they even end up getting cast? Like, what is the vetting process for being accepted and, deemed as a final participant, eligible participant to, actually be on the show? That's the question that I have. But please excuse that intermittent pause. So, continuing, what I was saying was, like I said, Sam made contestant number 3 that definitely was not, part of the concluding cast. And as somebody who apparently realized or discovered that they're, anticipating bringing new life into the world. So the chick, I cannot think of her name. The chick who was pregnant while she was on there, she got eliminated. She got eliminated like maybe 1/4 of the way into the program. I never spoke on this previously, but again, I'm trying to summarize the whole series at this point in time, the whole season at this point. So this is the perfect time for me to say it now. Like, that chick was tacky as hell for coming on to a dating show, a dating contest, dating game, dating competition, knowing that she was pregnant. And I recall, seeing a couple of, either comments or commentators, other folks who've been reviewing the series, commenting on other people's comments, apparently describing this chick as looking like she was fat, and they were defending, oh, she wasn't fat, she was pregnant. Well, okay, fat is fat, regardless of the source of why a person is fat. Okay, she definitely looked large. Now that it's been confirmed and verified that she knew she was pregnant while she was on there, it's clear and undeniable that her largeness, regardless of the source of it, is a valid observation to be able to state about her. It's nothing to be offended about. It's nothing for anybody to take offense to, and definitely not on, by somebody else's behalf of wanting to defend her pregnant self. When you're pregnant, it's normal that you become fat. It's a necessity for the woman to gain additional weight because she's carrying that involuntarily. It's the fact that she has another human being growing and developing within her own body. So yeah, your weight is going to increase. Thus, you're going to look bigger. Thus, you're going to be bigger. Thus, there's a higher probability than not that you're going to be fat while you're pregnant. Anyhow, pressing away from her, that was tacky. And I recall somebody's comment also making what did they say? What did this comment say? It said, I think they were responding to someone else's comment that had asked the question, why would a pregnant woman do that? And so someone else's response, again, in attempts to defend the chick's action, said, why not? Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. Because that's a bad look. And, ultimately it begs the question, I put it in past tense, begged the question, why would a pregnant woman go on a dating show? I mean, to me, that's question number one. Now, when the inquiry was made to her on part one of the reunion, and Tommy, tried to get more, some details as far as who's the father. Somebody up here on the stage. And, she said it was nobody there, but she did say that it was somebody that she's either in love with, or she gave just a brief, inclination as to what the father of her child is to her. And she said also definitely that she found love. I call BS. Because if that's the case, your ass never would have been on the show though, sweetie. Because again, it was visible that she was pregnant. So that easily indicates the length, the duration of her pregnancy at the time that the show aired. And further indicates that whatever her relationship or status was with the person who impregnated her could not have been great for her, number one, her to have signed up to be on the show, Ready to Love, and number two, for her to have, I guess, I don't know, I almost want to say for her to have been in as many people's faces as she was while she was there. But, it all comes down to the totality of her going the distance to do what I already mentioned, either to try to make a current boo thing publicly jealous as a hopeful exit strategy or as a rebound situation. Obviously, it was one of those, if not a combination of those matters. Okay. And I hope she really, I wish they would have asked her if she was surprised that she got eliminated at the point that she did. They should have posed that question to her just like they did with Sam, okay? Because again, knowing confidently what we know now about her condition then, that would have been a good question I would have looked forward to an answer to. Were you surprised that you got voted off as early as you did, considering you were pregnant and had not disclosed that to anyone, including production? It's just, I mean, that right there is beyond messy if you ask me, but, um, you know, I feel like that's something personally I would never do because I just think of it like, I don't know. It's just I feel like it's a reach. It can easily be viewed as a reach of desperate, very desperate attention seeking. And all attention is not good attention. So going back to the other guys, past the other folks that are still anticipating their kids coming into the world, because I think a lot of people said that she actually already gave birth, even though she did not say that on part one. She didn't say that. She spoke as if, oh no, did she say that? I don't remember. Yeah, I don't think she said that she's giving birth on the show, but she has. She definitely has. I just don't think she commented about that. And if she did, it didn't get aired on part one of this reunion. So coming back to part two, like I said, they skipped over grilling Denise about the lie that she told about Joy supposedly telling her, I want you to let everybody know X, Y, and Z. Excuse me. And when it came to the assessment of Denise otherwise, that was relative to the ultimate coupling of Calfani and Adriana. So, she was sitting on the sidelines over there. And so when we got to hear rather what occurred with Calfani Adriana, as far as, are you guys together now? Are you guys a couple? What's your status? The story is that Calfani claimed that he received some indirect contact from a woman he was previously involved with. And based on that, he let Adriana know that he was going to pursue that ex and not Adriana. So that was like, blue. Dang. And so, of course, they showed a reaction by Denise, which, her eyes got wide, and more than that, even she was chuckling and shaking her head. But the contradictory behavior by her was that when Tommy was asking her, they ended up just having like a dialogue, asking Calfani. I don't know, they asked him something, but Denise was chiming in. And, she wanted to chime in, piggybacking off of Calfani's comments as far as, him choosing Adriana or just agreeing to, be a couple with Adriana at the conclusion of the show. And so Denise was like, you didn't have a choice. I left. So it was like, she's making these comments expressing her denial of, the true outcome. Even if you wouldn't have left, he wasn't checking for you no more. He was no longer interested in you prior to you having left. So even if you would not have left, he wouldn't have, y'all would not have coupled up. But anyhow, with the other couple, with the other guise of a couple that could have been, which they spoke to at the beginning of this second half of the reunion, was Jay and Joy, and the question was, or the pending thing was them answering the question, are they dating? Are they together? And so just as I predicted, the answer to that question from them was danced around, just like I said it would be. Just like I said, because they showed Jay trying to predict and anticipate. Really, he was just stating, a variation of the question that Nephew Tommy had already posed. This was his means of stalling, entertaining it, okay? Just answer the doggone question. Don't sit up here and speculate all the different ways that Nephew Tommy could have presented the question to you, asking you if you and Joy are together. It's a yes or no question, type of question. That's the type of answer it negates. So Nephew Tommy had to reinforce, so he was like, sit up here and ask my questions. Like, that's for me to do. So let's wait on an answer. And it took Joy, kind of indicating to Jay, like, let's go ahead and, say what's up. So that was weird. That was kind of odd. I don't know if that occurred for optics purposes to try to, give some suspense to viewers, but it was extra and it looked odd on his part. Like, why are you stalling? Just say yes or no. Like, let me know how much further my prediction is accurate or not. You know what I'm saying? But I already knew what the answer was going to be. So I was dead on with that. And he said that they are not together. Then Nephew Tommy asked Joy, I think he asked her like how she feels about that, or, what is their current status since they're not a couple. And she explained that they had been on a couple of dates. And that's pretty much the depth, of what was said about them, around them. Excuse me. So nothing to, nothing, no wow factor. No surprise there for me. Not at all. Coming back to, I'm sorry. Now let me just go in on Jay a little bit, assess rather Jay a little bit with all that, because I know I mentioned before on the last video that, everybody seemed to be, wanting to jump down Winter's throat because a lot of people assess that she was kind of chasing Jay, even though he had been interacting with Winter as well as Joy. And, Joy had a mutual interest in Jay. It was mutual interest between Jay and Joy, but Winter was still interested in Jay. And Jay didn't really seem to gravitate toward one of them more than the other. So many people wanted to seemingly jump on Winter's back and, express that, oh, well, she should have stopped talking it. Why was it up to her though? And why is that seen as like, a brunt or an error? If anything, who's ultimately affected by that? Those folks. So obviously there was some motivation that Winter had with continuing, her pursued interest in Jay, which, I just saw an interview that she did, she has done since the conclusion of the reunion, where she explained that, she kind of disclosed that really. She said that, Winter said that Jay pretty much, had been speaking to her in a manner that gave her the impression that he wasn't, like I said, that he was not more interested in Joy than he was in her. Okay. And to the point that she reached and told Jay that she was gonna fall back. And that's the point at which he was like, oh no, she explained it pretty much in, I want to say, exactly the same way that we saw play out between Adriana and Rashid when Rashid came to her and was telling her that he was on the verge of rolling out off the set. And Adriana, talked him back in over the ledge and was like, I want you to be about that, I want you to, I'm still here. Are you still here with me? So that's an extremely similar account that Winter disclosed as far as interaction with Jay, and when she was at a point that she was going to fall back from him, but she said that he, like I said, stated some things to her in order to retain her interest in him. So, naturally, put yourself in that position. How do you think you would navigate that? Right? I think it's natural that she didn't still continue to go forward with eliminating herself if that's the response that Jay actually had to her. Because again, he appeared to have been split equally between Winter and Joy. So if you closer to 50, having a 50% chance with somebody among a handful of other people that's available to this person, you already like ahead of the game. You know what I'm saying? Closer to the finish line than you would be otherwise. You're 50% of the way there. So she obviously, had a sense that she could possibly get closer to him beyond 50% probability. So that's why she continued to, show interest in him and continue to entertain him. Otherwise, she wouldn't have. But, I said this, previously, it's a small degree to which anybody can say that any one person on that show was wrong for anything that they did, aside from, going beyond, morals, their own personal morals and standards and values, but those folks are the only ones who know how far beyond those things that they departed from themselves, because these are aspects of self-measurement for them. They're the ones who would know best how far away they deviated from their own moral standards and values to try to hopefully be able to connect with and get with somebody off of that show. Okay, so when it comes to Anthony and Winter, they they stated on part one of the reunion that they had a spat, conversational spat, and they had like parted ways, but that they reconnected, and that they're seeing what they're going to do with that reconnection. And on this other part two, going back to assessing Calfani, Adriana, and his reason for not entertaining Adriana after the conclusion, I think this is the case. That story of his, I mean, it can be seen, it can easily be seen through some rose-colored glasses. And it is possible, but I think the likelihood of it being 100% the truth is not that high. I think that if it is the case that Calfani wants to entertain an ex of his over Adriana, I think that the reason being is more so likely that this is somebody that he had more recent dealings with, and somebody, a mutual acquaintance of theirs, or somebody who knows that ex, put the buzz in the ear of his ex, as far as his status, or just him being away on the show and what the purpose of the show was, that type of deal. Because if this person was actually in another country, as he said, as Kalfani said, then likely that would be the only way for his ex to have become privy to and compelled to seek to communicate and correspond with Kalfani again. Okay. Now, that's not the way he told it, but again, this is my personal speculation as far as any honest likelihood of any portion of his reason for not continuing on with Adriana being possible. This is somebody that either what I just said was the case between this ex and Kalfani, or else, and this might be a stronger probability, or else, possibility number 2 is that this is somebody this will be an ex that has been local, meaning stateside, the whole time before and during Kalfani being on the show. And again, they got wind of him being on the show, what the show was for, what it's about, and they decided, oh no, I gotta try to get him back. And so they sent out correspondence to Kalfani to regain his attention. Okay. That's a theory that is stronger to me than the previous one I just theorized. I'm the type of person who would, I consider as many possibilities that I can. So, I think it's more likely as somebody who's local and they're like, oh no, he's not about to, and even the strongest probability, the most realistic possibility is that this supposed ex is one of his kids' mothers, because he has 2 or 3 kids. Okay. So just consider the likelihood of those possibilities for Kalfani. Okay. And at the end of the day, recognize that regardless of who or what this other person, this supposed ex of Kalfani's is to him, regardless of the degree of their previous relationship, the highlight of that scenario and the choice that he made comes down to focusing on the fact that he and Adriana did not, just like the other couple, Anthony and Winter, just like, again, the hopeful third couple, Joy and Jay, none of them survived the optics beyond the last portion of the production of this season of Ready to Love. Meaning, beyond just making it to the end of the game and getting coupled with somebody by the end of the show, none of them surpassed that mark. And to me, that's what makes the difference in that's what makes the difference in the level of entertainment that watching a program like Ready to Love yields. So because they started with 20 people. The goal was for there to be an ending with 3 couples. We got 2 weak looking couples that resulted for the final episode. And per the reunion, we got 0. So, when you consider all those calculations, the show was a wash. Like, simply put, it was a wash. And it's like you assess some of the folks coming on who claim that they were genuinely seeking love, seeking a relationship. It's like, okay, that's cool, but everybody who came on there who I want to say was within the last 8 count of 8 can't say that. They can't say that honestly. So who do I think was really who do I think was on this show who was truly eligible to date? I would say truly eligible to date. I would, as far as who came close to making it to the end, I would say possibly Joy. Possibly. It's hard to say just because she had that personal circumstance under which she left. But I will speculate in the positive, Joy. I will also say, even though she really had no business being on there, I will also say Denise. She is, listen, I'm going to put this in 2 categories now. I'm going to say who I think was truly eligible to date and who definitely should not have even been on the show at all. I'm going to put it in those 2 categories, okay? I think Joy was truly eligible to date. I think Denise was not truly eligible to date. I think Jay is not truly eligible to date. Well, let me put it in past tense. Because since the show ended, they actually might be a little more ready now than they were when they started. So I don't think Jay was eligible to date. I think Winter was eligible to date. I think Anthony was not eligible to date. Who else? Who else else was left? Anthony, Winter, Jay. Oh, Edwin made it pretty far, despite me being able to tell that he was, coming up close to the chopping block at the point that he ended up self-eliminating. I don't know. He might actually be in a gray area. He might be in between. He claims that he's made a proclamation that, to the point that, at this point, I happened to catch the unofficial Edwin show, where he, was recording independently, talking about himself and how he did genuinely come on the show looking for love. But this is why I put him in a gray area, despite him claiming that now, currently, since the reunion has concluded, I put him in the gray area because he says that, but I just seriously wonder what the reservations were that Joy had about Edwin when the show was taping. Because, on the reunion, on this part 2, she said that, he's great. And with him, you knew that Edwin liked you. And she, made comparison between the level of interest that Edwin showed her compared to the level of interest that she got from Jay. And she said that Edwin was more romantic. Jay's conversation was better, but she ended that comparison by stating to Jay that he would have some work to do as far as leveling up, that same factor that Edwin came at with her, being stronger. And with that being recognized that she said those things, she wasn't checking for Edwin the way she was checking for Jay. Nowhere close. It was nowhere close, okay? She was focused on Jay. It seemed like she was more so entertaining Edwin, but her focus and her strong interest was unquestionably towards Jay. So that leaves the question up in the air. What was it about Edwin that she did not like? That's why I put Edwin in the gray area between considering him being truly eligible to date or not being truly eligible to date. Okay. So yeah, like I said, he did a self-recording, but the question begs to be answered. What are his issues? So that's another thing. And also, to speak on Edwin Fuller as it pertains to part 2 of the reunion, that was inclusive of one of the unofficial couples that were announced, okay, among cast members. So those unofficial couples that have resulted since the season concluded and as of the reunion being taped, not currently necessarily, but definitely as of the point of the reunion being taped, which was in December, were Edwin and Naya, were the other chef, Shay, and the musician, oh gosh, his name is escaping me. The musician guy who's 52 years old. I don't want to guess his name because I feel like I'm going to just call him any name that is not accurate. But Shay and the musician guy who's 52 years old and has like 4 or 5 kids and has never been married and is not interested in pursuing marriage. And then we had an erroneous kind of a persuaded date offer from what is that guy's name? I'm slipping with the names tonight. The guy who was wearing a red shirt and a black vest. He made a date offer to Alex, and she accepted. But that didn't appear to be a voluntary offer at all. Anyhow, yeah. So that was the end result as far as couples go. Like I said, no official couples remained, and we got some unofficial couples who are dating and communicating among each other. Let me go back and finish. I just was able to pinpoint who's truly eligible to date and who was not. I think that Simone, she was truly eligible. And who else? People are popping, they're springing into my mind now. I'm picturing everybody now. Alex, I'm not sure. maybe so. I'll say she was truly eligible. I'll say she was. Um, and then the rest of the guys, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no because remember the baby making factors, and they just seemed to generally like just like maturity, and that was evident in the way that they communicated that we got to see on the show prior to them getting eliminated. The guy that asked Alex out on a date, yeah, including him too. So I don't think he was truly eligible during the show. And just because he asked Alex out really don't count for much. Like I said, that appeared to be kind of like a forced or persuaded, offer from him. Because I think we say she say something. Joy was like, "I'll make the connection." How about you fall back, mind your business? But that's just a date, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean it's going to result in anything more. Now, another factor about the reunion in general, parts 1 and 2, was that for me, it was not a huge deal. And I noticed a lot of others who also commentated reviews made detailed notes about everyone's wardrobe. I must say myself that some of the cast attire was less than meeting the standard for the occasion of them being on the tube together for the last time. Tube meaning TV, if you don't already know that. Good looks were among the women. I feel like the dress that Denise wore was beautiful. It was gorgeous. The color, the design, the whole thing, nice. Of all the men, I think that KD, aka Chris, the DJ guy, he was the best dressed to me. And also, I think that he's not truly eligible to date. He might think that he is. He might be in the mindset of it, but as far as actual preparedness, I don't think he is. And yes, that does stem from the last interaction that he and I had with the question about, money and providing and handling the household or what have you. Because when that was brought up in part 2, he still somewhat attempted to, I don't remember if he attempted to somewhat defend the answer that he gave, or if he had made mention of trying, having wanted to clarify or correct what he had said. But bottom line is, I think that he said what he meant, and he meant what he said on episode 4 or 5, whichever episode it was, when he said what he said, and then Naya's vision on him dissipated based on what he said. Okay, because he stated wanting to take on a position of equally shared responsibility. And Naya was not feeling that. And once he was aware, he tried to, kind of backtrack. Oh, no, I mean, he wanted to literally clean up his answer, but it's like, honey, you shouldn't even be attempting to do that. You already told your truth. So stand behind it. You know what I'm saying? Now you want to try to clean it up because you want to continue to have her full focus. But, it's just indicative that things between y'all likely were not meant to be, because she had such a strong, took such strong issue to that. Now, if it was a possibility that that could be worked out, then she should have sought to, give his response to that question a degree of leeway, because that's something that you always discuss more in depth going forward. But apparently, those questions got handled and treated like a pop quiz. That's definitely the impression that was given. And that's clearly the way that he took it, because again, he did what he could to try to, uncloud the statement that he made about managing the household and financial responsibilities, as a couple and, within a marriage. So he meant what he said. And I remember now, and I'll say that about him for sure, because the last thing that they showed him say on this part 2 reunion was, he's like, well, after he expressed his analysis of being able to see how Nia interacted with Edwin right before KD got eliminated. He said, once I got to watch the episode, I saw that she, gave him that full kiss, and the whole time between she and I leading up to that, we had a lot of interaction, but she had been giving me these petty pecks. So, he expressed saltiness about being able to recognize that in hindsight. So, and, again, definitely in comparison to, hell, she did. She gave other dudes, she went a little further with somebody other than me. So the last thing that he said, though, was that I think nephew Tommy was asking him kind of like, what's your position now? How do you feel now as far as, dating, and are you going to, remain on a dating scene, and, how you going to, approach things going forward? And he said a statement along the lines of, I'm not going to look for nobody. He's like, I'm here. He said, and I'll just, I'll be waiting for my queen to find me. So that clearly is connected and relative to what he had to say about equally splitting financial responsibilities being within a marriage, and his ideal of that being how he would want things to be. You talking about you're waiting for to be found by your queen, by a queen. So that makes it very clear that in no way, shape, or form are you acclimated to the idea that you need to put forth more than a woman would. I mean, because that's clearly what that shows me about him. It was about Chris. Yeah, that was the last thing he said, though. I'm waiting for I'll wait to be seen by my queen. All right, dude. Keep doing you, Mr. DJ, with the deep voice. That came on episode 1 with a suit, but just the jacket and no shirt on underneath whatsoever. Smooth radio talker. All right, then. Now getting back to the wardrobe of the rest of the cast. The more questionable looks were worn by everybody. Already pointed out the abundance of cleavage that Alex's dress revealed being too much. Okay, everybody I saw quite a few comments about that, and I had, it was definitely on my radar prior to me seeing what other people's thoughts were about that. And not that it was a bad look, it just definitely would not be the look for that setting. That's the comments that I made about it. Going back to Naya, I did not like her dress color. And that dark lip was not hitting on her either. That just was not the look for her. I wasn't feeling Joy's long velvet dress. May have been reminiscent of a prom look the most. Danny's dress looked a little old schoolish on her. And I think that I put her in the gray area between being eligible to date and not being eligible to date. And she's, I mean, again, but I'm talking about the wardrobe still though. Her dress looked a little old schoolish, maybe in conjunction with her hairstyle. She seemed like a sweet woman. She seemed like she, has a nice spirit, but considering that she was another participant who has kids, I think she might be the type that might be prone to like coddling a man. So I think she might not be, fully mentally ready to be in a position to fully encompass her womanhood over her parenthood as being, a single parent. And I think that might be a setback for her as far as if she was truly eligible to date coming on the show. She got eliminated on day one. She's a pretty lady, but I think the common reason for her elimination, I think, based on what they showed, if I recall correctly, was the guys, at least Calfani, definitely said that she gave off a homegirl vibe, like she would be cool. They feel like she would be more cool versus somebody to pursue, like as a girlfriend. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but again, apparently for that set of guys that was around her, they didn't think that was a good enough reason to keep her on versus cutting her. So anyway, the men still on wardrobe. The rest of the men. Anthony was dressed the most averagely. Edwin, I mean, you got the cool hair and all, but what was happening with his array of a multicolor scheme ensemble? He had a great turtleneck, a dark blue suit jacket, and red pants. So I wasn't feeling that at all, personally. Rashid's suit was cool. I just wish his pants would have been longer. He is so very tall that I recognize the style, the look that he was sporting. I just didn't like it on him though. It wasn't a good look on him in my opinion. So I wish his pants would have been longer. He's extremely tall. And the high water look on him, not the flyest, not the most dapper. So all this must be Texas style. It's gotta be. Jay's ensemble was fine. It looked very relaxed. It was casual, but I guess not too casual. Definitely looked relaxed, so he was okay. But yeah, I mean, and any other, female attire that I didn't mention was fine to me. I didn't say anything about it, then that means it was fine to me. Simone's dress was nice. Her hair, I mean, I don't know who styled her hair for that, but they didn't do her no justice. They definitely could have given her a better hairstyle than what she had. But yeah, that's all with the wardrobe that I have to say about the wardrobe. Again, not a huge factor to me. I just wanted to see, I was just curious to see who was going to be announced that they wound up with each other as far as the remaining cast members. And something else that I wonder about, the folks on Ready to Love for this season is, based on, again, who got coupled up and who didn't. A question that I think is highly valid and that they should all pose to themselves and share with the public is, would they date themselves? If they were a whole other person, if they were a person who was the opposite gender of what they are, would they date themselves? Would they view themselves as being a person who's eligible and ready for, a serious relationship? I wonder about that. But yeah, I wonder what the location for next season will be. Because listen, let me just tell you, I try to picture myself being in a scenario and tell myself, I would never. Some people believe never say never, but that's how I think I would feel about it. That I would never go on a show like that. Dating websites are strenuous enough to navigate. So personally speaking, I view that as, what on earth would I look like going on a whole reality TV process to seek out gaining a relationship. I don't know. I don't think I could stomach it. It's not even that I don't think I could stomach it. I more so think that I don't know. I'm not a competitive person. In very limited situations, will that trait present itself in me? But generally, competing is not my speed. So realizing that, knowing that, I don't think like I said, I don't think I would fare very well on a show like that, because it is a competition, as well as, in conjunction with people deciding, how transparent they're going to be as far as, what they disclose and what they share about themselves, and, how in depth about their personal life they go in to pull out. And this gets put on camera. Again, this is reality TV. So this is a different method of broadcasting compared to what we usually see when it comes to sitcoms and whatnot. Reality TV seeks to, I want to say, broadcast more than your average sitcom, because it's majority unscripted and or totally unscripted. So it's about how much of yourself are you going to show when it comes to reality TV content. And, I would have quite a few reservations about that. But that's me. Yeah, so, but I will say this. let uh let Will Packard production Ready to Love cast in Maryland or Washington, D.C. let them cast, and I'm single when they come to cast. I just might change my mind and have a trick for them. Just might. Depending on where they decide to shoot it at. Just might have a trick for that show. But in the interim, I'll say I couldn't see myself doing such a thing. I'm like pretty traditional. So I was not, I'm sorry, I want to say, um, aside from wondering where the next season, the location for the next season will be, more importantly, I hope that the vetting process for participants becomes tighter because I was not highly entertained by what eventually was made evident, which is that there's always going to be people featured who are seeking exposure for agendas other than a romantic relationship. But that being the case for more than the majority of the cast was a disgrace to see, especially for the type of one or two who's hopeful to get a renewed faith in seeing examples of Black love on the TV, becoming established and maintained. Reality TV or not, it's still media imagery. And an important thing to remember, for those of us who, watch programs like this. Bottom line is entertainment. So we'll see what Will Packer Production comes up with for next time. Maybe, hopefully, show feedback will reach them and it will get better. So, like I said, we'll see what they come up with next time. And if these folks would date themselves, would they have gotten coupled up with somebody from the show? Okay. Now, talking about new flicks that are out, it's quite a few things that are popping on the network television scene right now. I actually came across information about some upcoming shows within the past 3 days, and even within, I want to say, 45 minutes of coming on, being on right now. A lot of stuff. So something that recently came out is the Lifetime Network movie about Salt-N-Pepa. And in conjunction with that is controversy, not only of from Spinderella, but also, again, as of tonight, I saw a mention from Tretch that they didn't get any, inquiry or notification to provide input about, their characters and how they would be portrayed in this Salt-N-Pepa movie on Lifetime. So Spinderella definitely raised the funk about that. And it's not surprising to me that it happened. And it's because it's not surprising, it's pretty messed up that she was not contacted to provide input. Now, for anybody who did not previously know, Spinderella, Salt-N-Pepa, they were on a reality show just within the past 2 years that also featured SWV. And they were pretty much working on a project as far as the potential for performing and touring together. So that was the objective. And on this show, it was made known that there had been static for years due to Salt-N-Pepa not wanting to legally consider Spinderella as a member of their group, because Salt-N-Pepa, they are legally a business, or legally a company rather. And once Spinderella started to work with them, she was not the first DJ to work with Salt and Pepper as a group. But once Spinderella did begin to work with Salt and Pepper, obviously she has remained up until definitely up until the point of doing the show, the reality show. And so again, this is the point in which it was like highlighted by Spinderella, because that was like the umpteenth time while they were taping this show. It was the umpteenth time that Spinderella approached Salt and Pepper, asking them to consider her, to legally recognize her and acknowledge her as a group member. Because legally speaking, Salt and Pepper does not view her that way. Spinderella was sharing on the show that she also doesn't feel like Salt and Pepper actually treat her like she's a full-on group member. Well, hell, I mean, you consider the former thing I just said, then it makes the latter thing make sense. No, it doesn't sound great. No, it doesn't sound nice, but it does make it make sense. So that's the basis. That's the foundation of now with this Lifetime movie about them being out. And they didn't even, whoever produced it, did not, again, reach, excuse me, Spinderella for any creative guidance on anything in regards to her being portrayed in this movie. So that is Spinderella's current gripe with Salt and Pepper. And, she's taken, I guess, legal action against them for that. Now, Tretch made mention also that the same thing was the case with him, because he was married. He and Pepper were married for just about 2 years, very brief period of time, but they were married. And he commented that nobody got in contact with him either, as far as what his portrayal, the portrayal of him rather, in the movie would look like. So, it's like, clearly it just, it highlights the accurately stereotyped theory that Lifetime movies are thrown together. Okay? It's just, if anything, these issues being brought up by Tretch and Spinderella are just a reminder of that about Lifetime movies, Lifetime Network. Okay? They throw stories together. They show the same type of stories in movies 200 times over, 300 times over. Okay? They just change the characters and they might alter the storyline 2 or 3 different ways. But ultimately, a lot of people feel like Lifetime shows, like I said, they tell the same story over and over again when it comes to, anything that's not based on a true story. And even with, again, these biopics, because they just, I don't remember if it was I think it was Lifetime that also came out with the movie about Aaliyah, just like, how long ago was that? 3-4 years ago? I never saw it. So that's why I honestly can't even gauge how long it's been. But either way, yeah, Lifetime is not that thorough with quite a few things with their movie productions. Anyhow, speaking of Wendy Williams, though, now she actually had a hand in that Aaliyah movie being produced and, going off. So she also has a biopic now, which I believe is also on the Lifetime Network. Ta-da! I'm not a Wendy Williams fan, so this is not something that I anticipate tuning into. But what's relative, though, to, this movie about her being out, we're getting ready to come out within the next few days if it's not already out, is that she felt the need to, now of course I don't know if it is or is, slated to be part of the movie. I'm gonna guess that it is, since she is currently in the headlines about making mention of having had a sexual interaction with the rapper Method Man back in the day at some point. So only thing I'm going to say about that is it's neither here nor there to me as far as showing what level of tact, class, and dignity that Wendy Williams does not have, because I'm not a fan of hers anyway. But what I will say as a precautionary measure about that to other women is that's not the move. It's not ever positively necessary to disclose that you had a sexual encounter with a particular person. Like, I don't see that, I can't see that being the case for somebody wanting to talk about that and share that with the public for any reason that they think might be beneficial or positive or constructive. Now we know we know that Wendy Williams is a mouth. I mean, this is how she makes her living. She's a gossip. So clearly she had no problem bringing it up, but it's like, the only thing I wonder around that is, what was the context of her bringing that up? What was the context of her ultimately, making this claim that she slept with Method Man? Who does she think cares? Like, why? Who, why? And what for? Would she say that? Would she tell this story? So, but I mean, whatever the details supposedly are, they're out there. As far as Method Man goes, I mean, a lot of people view Method Man as a sex symbol. He's been getting his acting groove going for the past few years now. He's been pretty consistent here as of late on the acting scene. So again, I don't know what if any the motivation was for Wendy Williams making this claim about their involvement, from years and years ago. But I don't know. I definitely wish Method Man luck in overcoming this claim. And that's all I have to say about that. Wendy Williams, par for the course for her to say something like that. Other new entertainment content that is slated to come out includes a series from the creators of the now concluded show Greenleaf. And it's going to be on the OWN network as Greenleaf was. And the show is called Delilah. I just happened to see info about that this week, and wasn't even checking for it, but just happened to catch it. So this show is pretty much, in short, this show is going to be a crime series. It's going to highlight characters that work in the legal profession and, tell a story as far as pretty much how their professional lives coincide with their personal lives and their personal relationships and friendships. The main character, one of the main focal points of her storyline of the main character is going to be how a long-term relationship with her best friend, who was going to be played by um I hope I get her name right. I should know it. By Jill Marie Jones, who played the character, the well-known character, one of the very well-known characters from one of my favorite shows ever, Girlfriends. She played the character Tony. So she's gonna play the best friend of the main character on this upcoming new show called Delilah. And we're gonna see how, whether or not their friendship can reconnect. Also, one of the actors that's prominent to me anyway. That if I do watch this show, it will be one of the reasons why I check for it. Is oh boy, his name is slipping my mind right now, dude. This is horrible. And I like him. I like to see him though. So his name should not be slipping my mind as hard as it is right now. But his name is Lyric Bent. So he's also going to be a character on this show, Delilah. I do not know when this show is coming out, but again, it's going to be featured on the OWN network, and it is a legal drama sitcom or network show, that is. And to conclude, I did previously mention that that Queen Sugar is going to be returning. Season 5 is coming back, and it's going to be, I think that's returning in April. I think that's what I read. And I do know when Delilah is coming out. It's actually coming out in March. So March, look for the show Delilah on the OWN network. Oprah Winfrey is one of the executive producers for the show. And again, this is by the creators of the show Greenleaf. That starred Lynn Whitfield and Keith James. I think that's his name, Keith James. Yeah, so that was a pretty good show to me. I didn't care for how it ended. It ended on a weak note, but they had 4 or 5 seasons of Greenleaf. So this show was coming from some of the same folks who wrote Greenleaf. Look for the show Delilah. Queen Sugar is also going to remain on the OWN network, and then another network TV series is coming out, which I don't know. I think I'm a little excited about it. Is a show called The Equalizer. It's going to be on CBS. I think that's coming out in April. And guess who is the main character starring on that show? They are also a music icon, a living icon. Dana Owens, aka Queen Latifah, is going to be on The Equalizer on CBS. So, yeah. So that's what's next as far as entertainment options to watch on a recurring basis. I know that there are viewers who watch Married at First Sight and the Bell Collective, and I have checked out a couple episodes of the Bell Collective, but I'm not compelled to really talk about that show. I don't know if I'm going to continue to watch it either. And then when it comes to Married at First Sight, I'm not really compelled to watch that whatsoever. I caught a portion of the first episode, and I'm not. Again, I'm just not drawn in by that. So yeah, but for those who watch that, enjoy, have at it. I'll be checking out other things, different level of content over here being talked about and viewed and analyzed through this channel of mine. So if you like my flow and like my style, like, subscribe to, and share this golden dark dame. I hope I was able to put you on to something you didn't already know about. And make sure you comment on this. Again, whenever you do get to hear it, share your thoughts, share your comments. Let me know what you think about Wendy Williams talking about Method Man. What you think about Spinderella and Tretch, and I have an input on the portrayals of them in the Lifetime Salt and Pepper movie. What you think about who was eligible to date, and would anybody date themselves from the cast of season 3 Ready to Love that just concluded? And yeah, anything else that I may mention of, just share your thoughts in the comments and I'll come back to them. So until the next time, all done. Golden Dark Thing.